Well, hi again. Today, something very different. I'd like to talk about a book, and in fact, not any old book. It's my book, Bob Goes Fishing. Anyway, I'll get back to that in a minute, but just to mention that I haven't published any fishing videos for a couple of weeks, and the reason for that is that the problem with my hip, whatever it might be, is getting progressively worse, and walking doesn't seem to be the best thing to do at the moment. I've managed to get into the NHS system, which was quite a struggle. It took me a while to get in contact with my GP. In the end, I had to go through 111 and get them to contact a GP who got back to me. And the way things are at the moment, all I got was a phone call. But anyway, the upshot of that was that I had an x-ray a few days ago, the results of which I still don't know. So I'm hoping as things progress, probably slowly, that I will find out what's wrong and hopefully get back to fishing. To be honest, the last couple of weeks it's still been quite cold, and lake fishing has been quite challenging recently, so I probably haven't missed much, but it is extremely frustrating to be confined to the house. Basically, I walk up the shop and it's quite a challenge, and I suffer for it afterwards. Anyway, on to the book. I some time ago I thought about writing a little book about fishing, basically about me and my thoughts on fishing, and I'd forgotten all about that, and I came across the Word file on my computer, and it reminded me, and I thought, okay, this was a while ago as well that I found the file, and with lockdown and with the restrictions on doing anything else, I thought it was a good little project to sit down and write a book. And the upshot is we have my book, Bob Goes Fishing. Now, it's basically about me, as you would have guessed, Bob Goes Fishing, and it's a little history, really, or biography, if you like. That's perhaps a word you could use, of my fishing from the age of 13, when I first caught the bug, up until now at the age of 73. So it was a neat 60 years, and I didn't fish all through that period. I as a youngster at 13 and up into my late teens, I did fish a lot. In fact, it was my overarching sort of interest. Everything fishing was everything I thought about, really. But as things go, when you sort of leave school and then you have other things to do in life, and you get married, you have kids, and all these sort of things, it sort of impacted on the fishing, and it became an occasional thing rather than a passion as it was. I did have a brief sort of reintroduction to my passion in what I call midlife, and after that again things lapsed, and I really came back to fishing in my late 50s. So that's how the book's structured. It's, as I say, a narrative of how I got into fishing, the places I fished, my successes, which were extremely limited as a youngster, not like these days, where it's relatively easy to go out and catch good fish. And basically, if you like reading about fishing and people going fishing, you might find it interesting. It's a bit philosophical because I started fishing, as I say, 60 years ago, and things were quite a lot different in those days. And much of the way I think about fishing was actually formed in those days. And when I came back to it in my late 50s, things had changed quite a lot. And at first I tried to sort of join in with that change. I bought tackle. I tried techniques that had been mentioned in magazines and what have you. And obviously I fished a commercial lake, something that didn't exist when I was a kid. And that was fine, and I enjoyed it. I caught good fish, fish that I'd never even dreamed of as a child. And yeah, it was fine. But after a while, I started to find it all a little bit artificial. Not to say it was that easy to catch fish in the commercial, but it was certainly a lot easier to catch decent fish than it had been as a child or as a youngster. Because in those days I fished rivers, mainly the Thames, and it was really quite challenging. So I got to the point where I took a step back and reconsidered what fishing meant to me and what I wanted to do in the way of fishing. And I decided to go back to river fishing. Obviously still fishing lakes occasionally, particularly in the close season. But I decided to go back to river fishing because it basically offered more of a challenge, and it offered a bit more mystery, it offered a bit more uncertainty. And I did fish rivers while I was fishing the commercial. It wasn't as if I just fished the commercial. I did go back to rivers fairly soon after I got back into fishing, but I decided to swing the pendulum a lot more that way, and the book really describes my thoughts and feelings on that, and my opinions that some people might share, other people probably won't, and some people might find rather odd. In fact, at the beginning of the book, I expressed the view perhaps I am an oddity in today's world of fishing. Well, that's the background to the book. I found it quite easy to write, really. A lot less easy to proofread and check. It's amazing when you write things how you read over your own mistakes, and I wouldn't guarantee there aren't still a few little glitches in there. But anyway, it's now been published. I published it through Amazon, where you can self-publish books, and to be honest, it's quite easy to do, and it's obviously not expensive to do because there's no charge for publishing a book, unlike if you tried to go to a publisher. In fact, if you went to a publisher, first of all, you would have to get them to accept the manuscript, which I probably wouldn't succeed because there are a lot of fishing books out there. So Amazon self-publishing was the way to go. I had done it once before, so I sort of knew the ropes. And it's now up there on Amazon. I've tried to keep it as cheap as possible within the pricing structure in Amazon, because it's a global marketplace, and each marketplace has a minimum price for a book based on the size of the book, the production cost, and the market. So that sort of sets the minimum price, and it's worked out at £5.25 for the paperback, and it runs to let me see, it runs to about 180 pages, so it's a fair sized book. And I've also produced what they call a Kindle copy, but it's better to call it really an eBook, because you have to be a bit careful when you say Kindle. The true Kindle, the Kindle devices, you cannot read this book on a true Kindle device, because Kindle devices are really designed for novels and all text, whereas this book's got a lot of photographs in it. So you buy it as an ebook, and you can read it on the what do they call them? The Fire tablets, the Amazon Fire tablets, which are not so much Kindles as tablets like iPads. And you can also read it on an iPad, an iPhone, an Android phone, an Android tablet by downloading the Kindle app. The Kindle price is £1.70, and that's a bit more than I wanted to make it. But the reason it's a bit more is because there are quite a few photographs in it, which makes the file quite large. It's over 40 megabytes. So you wouldn't want to download it on a 3G connection on your phone. You want to be on a decent Wi-Fi. But because it's quite a large file, that seems to influence the cost, or the minimum cost of the Kindle. But £1.70, it's hopefully not too expensive. In some ways, the Kindle way, or the Kindle approach, is better for you, because if you view the book on an iPad with a high resolution screen, or an Android device, a similar device, the photographs are far better quality than in the paperback, because in the paperback the photographs have been reproduced on plain paper, which really isn't the best way. That's why in a lot of paperbacks you have inserts of glossy paper in the middle with the photographs, but there's no such option when you produce an Amazon book, so you just have to go with it. The comparison between the iPad and the paperback can be seen in this photograph I took, which, being a photograph, isn't an exact representation of the two views, the iPad and the paperback, but it gives you an idea. There's obviously a lot more clarity and sharpness on the iPad. So if you want the cheap option, go for the £1.70 iPad. If, like me, you like to have a bit of paper in your hand when you read books, because I'm a bit old-fashioned, and then the paperback, certainly the photographs are clear enough to see what they're showing, but they're not as crisp, obviously. If you are interested in reading the book, then I've included a link in the description below this video to take you to the Amazon page, where you can buy either the paperback or the ebook. And as for the fishing, I think I've got to wait for the NHS to do its stuff, find out what's exactly wrong, because I think using or walking or whatever, especially carrying tackle at the moment, is not helping the problem I've got. So until I find out what the problem is and what I should be doing and what I shouldn't be doing, I think the fishing might be on hold for another couple of weeks or so. But anyway, I'm really anxious to get back, and I suppose the plus side is that by that time the weather would have improved, the water would have warmed up, and things will be a bit easier on the fishing front. Anyway, that's it. Just a bit of an update, really, but obviously also a bit of self publicity as well. I'm not really into self publicity, but I like reading books, especially books about fishing rather than books that instruct you. There's really no instruction in this book to speak of. It's just about me going fishing, what I call my experiences. There is, because I've started doing this vlogging, or videoing, back in September, I did, as a sort of a chapter at the end, I added a chapter on photographing fish and doing videos of yourself fishing, because although it could be argued I haven't got a great deal of experience with the videoing, having only done it for 6 months or so, I have found out quite a lot in that 6 months. And as for photography, I've been taking photographs for as long as I can remember, even before I started fishing at 13. So I did include a chapter with some tips that I'm offering for people who want to photograph their fish or video their fishing trips. But other than that, as I say, it's not a book of instruction. It's a book about me going fishing. And the final chapter, in fact, is the reflection, if you like, of where I am, how I feel at the moment, and yeah, that's basically it. So hope you read it and hope you enjoy it. Let me know. And it's bye for now.